a motor vehicle to which I am not operating a motor vehicle. And this is what we are trying to
I guess
circumvent.
Yeah,
I am operating my
it's not
automobile, not a motor vehicle.
I will ask you this: how is your right to travel removed by receiving the citation?
By trying to require me to have a license to operate a automobile, which is my private.
It appears that today's court hearing will be really interesting. Because they are traveling and not driving, someone who identifies as a sovereign citizen believes they are exempt from getting auto insurance. With this individual, the lawyer and the magistrate take their time, and the discussion becomes heated. I think the magistrate could have been a bit too lenient in this case. It seems like the problem might have been resolved more quickly. If you believe the magistrate handled the matter appropriately, or if you believe he was too forgiving, please let me know. We will need to wait and find out.
Infraction. If you were found responsible, all other things being equal, the court would assess $125 fines, costs, and fees. It is a 0-point ticket. And in the second case that ends with the letter B, that same date, time, and place, you were issued a citation for having an expired registration plate. That is also a civil infraction. It is also a 0-point civil infraction. If you were found responsible, all other things being equal, the court would assess $110 fines, costs, and fees. So, first question, is that the ticket or the two cases that you thought you were appearing about, Mr. Williams?
It is.
Okay, and same question to you, Officer Kellums?
Yes, sir.
Very good. In every civil case, the plaintiff has the burden of proof, and in a case like this, that burden of proof is called by a preponderance of evidence.
Only question I have is, will the laws of the U.S. Supreme Court be applicable? And the federal statutes and definitions of motor vehicle and automobile be applicable in this proceeding?
They are the state of Michigan laws that will be applicable.
Okay. The other question is, are you already not bound by U.S. Supreme Court rulings?
Every court is bound by relevant Supreme Court rulings.
Okay. All right.
I'm not sure why you're asking that, but that's okay. All right, Officer Kellums, if you would begin, please.
So on November 19th, 2024, I was on patrol for the Battle Creek Police Department. When I observed the vehicle that Mr. Roosevelt was driving, I observed that it had expired tags on the vehicle. I then conducted a traffic stop on Fountain Street near Meacham Ave. Found Mr. Williams to be driving the vehicle, where I issued him the citations. When speaking with Mr. Williams, he could not provide insurance, and his tags were expired.
All right. Did Mr. Williams say anything to you during the stop about having insurance or not having insurance, or anything about the tags on the plates, anything like that?
He informed me that he did not have to have insurance due to that he was traveling, and to drive a vehicle, you have to have insurance. Something regarding Supreme Court. That's about all he said.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to consider anything else at this point, Officer Kellums?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Williams, could you hear Officer Kellums' testimony?
Yes, I heard his testimony.
Very good. Thank you for your patience. What do I need to know, sir?
Okay, I did inform Officer Kelly that I am not operating a motor vehicle, but I am operating an automobile. I did inform Officer Kelly of the ruling of Rodriguez v. Ray Donovan, U.S. Department of Labor, 769 Federal 2nd, 1344, where the U.S. Supreme Court's decision has ruled that all codes, rules, and regulations are for government authorities only and not for human creators. In accordance with God laws, all codes, rules, and regulations are unconstitutional and lacking due process.
All right, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. Are you telling me that a case at 769 Fed 2nd, 1344 indicates that all laws are unconstitutional?
This sovereign citizen defends his lack of insurance by using Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan. To be honest, though, the situation isn't relevant here. It didn't alter Michigan law. Rather, it dealt with a particular circumstance in another state. You cannot just say that you are traveling in Michigan in order to evade the law. The magistrate obviously knows the law better, but I'm not sure why he brought up this instance. Perhaps he thought it would strengthen his case. The result appears to be rather obvious. Why, in your opinion, did he consider this case to be pertinent? Their logic can occasionally be difficult to understand.
All codes, rules, and regulations. Yes, sir. Rodriguez v. Ray Donovan. And if I'm not mistaken,
and he said that was Department of what?
U.S. Department of Labor.
Okay, U.S. Department of Labor doesn't publish decisions in the Fed second. Can you tell me a little bit more about the case? What was at issue in the case?
It was regarding what we're discussing here, the requirements of a driver's license and the need when it's required to have one, stating that when you're not operating commerce, to which I informed the officer that I am not operating commerce as stated in USC 18 USCA 31 paragraph A6 states that a motor vehicle, the term of motor vehicle meaning every description of carriage, conveyance, propelled or drawn or mechanical power and used for commercial purposes. This is what Title 18 USCA Section 31A6 states or defines as a motor vehicle, to which I am not operating in commerce. I'm not using
for the purposes of that particular chapter of the United States Code. It would not control what happens in terms of the Michigan legislature defining in Chapter 257 what a motor vehicle is, and an automobile under Michigan law is a motor vehicle. But okay, continue.
It's a motor vehicle, which is described as anything, even by the Michigan compliance statute of 751, which you just stated, is determined as something that's transporting goods, which I'm not transporting goods.
I understand your position, and I can tell you that position doesn't happen to be legally correct. But go ahead.
So you're basically stating that there's a misinterpretation of what's in black and white.
The magistrate appears to be being tested by this individual, who is even attempting to put words in his lips. When the magistrate has the authority to choose your fate, it's not a very good plan. You really don't want to argue with the person in court who has the authority to decide whether you will be fined or subject to additional penalties. I'm not sure if he's attempting to outsmart the magistrate or if he's simply misinformed like many sovereign citizens. In any case, it's fascinating to observe. Let's see what he says next, because he even brings up further situations.
No, I'm telling you that you have misinterpreted the application of 18 USC 31A6 and 769 F second or Fed second 1344.
Okay, well, I see what
I've your argument.
So there will be no further arguments, because I see that you're not going to agree to, because like I said, when I've given it to you, the cases where they're like Shapiro v. Thompson, where the U.S. Supreme Court has said that this driver license is not a requirement, that you're trying to convert a right into a privilege, to which is covered by Article 1, Section 8.
I'll ask you this. Is that right, the right to travel?
That is a right to travel, convey, however you want it, by the U.S. Constitution.
What you just told me was that somehow but regardless, am trying to convert a right into a privilege. Now, the question I have for you is, what right has been converted to a privilege?
My right to freely travel unencumbered and unfettered.
I will ask you this. How is your right to travel removed by receiving the citation?
By trying to require me to have a license to operate a automobile, which is my private vehicle.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want me to consider?
No, sir.
All right. Well, I can tell you this. The Michigan motor vehicle laws, including the laws that require you to carry insurance, that require your vehicle to be registered, and require that registration to be current, do not run in violation of any right to travel under the Constitution or the United States Supreme Court decision that you have cited. In fact, Michigan courts have held that essentially the right to travel means the right for you to move from A to B, not the right for you to travel from A to B under your most convenient way. So you could walk from point A to B all you wanted. You could take a taxi or an Uber or a plane or a train or a bus. But if you wish to travel by using a motor vehicle, the Michigan laws are applicable and don't unconstitutionally interfere with the right to travel. It doesn't convert the right to travel into a privilege. You are not denied the right to travel. You may be denied the privilege of traveling via a motor vehicle.
It is imperative that this court hearing end. Like someone attempting to give a book report without having read the book, the sovereign citizen is unable to accurately quote the cases he has written down. It's
Okay, so
that is what the law says, and that's what I'm finding. Is there anything else you want me to consider about that finding?
Shuttleworth v. Birmingham, U.S. 147. Do you mind telling me what the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in that?
U.S. 147 doesn't give me the site of a case. That's an incomplete site of a case. Okay.
It was Shuttle.
And if you wish me to consider the case, why don't you tell me what was at issue in the case and what year it was decided?
I said Shuttleworth v. Birmingham, U.S. 147, 1969, where it says
U.S. 147 is not a complete cite. The way you cite to a case is by name and then volume number and then the name of the publication and then the page number. So, for instance, when you said 769 Fed 2nd 1344, what that means is volume 769 of a book or volumes called the Federal Reporter, 2nd edition, at page 1344. So when you're asking me about this most recent case that you've talked about, what you said was US 147, I think. That's not the citation to a case. So you're going to have to tell me more about that case. Who were the parties to that case, and what issue was before the Supreme Court in that case?
Okay, so you didn't hear me cite the name of Shuttleworth v. Birmingham?
I heard you say the name. That doesn't tell me what. That's not a complete cite of the case.
All right. Do you not have the documents that I filed when I filed to say that I want to have an informal hearing? The affidavit that writes that my
there are documents that have been scanned into the court that you dropped off.
Okay.
So from those documents, why don't you tell me the proper citation for Shuttle versus Birmingham?
Okay. Traffic infractions are not crimes, blah, blah, blah. Person faced with... Okay.
Right. Traffic infractions are not crimes. That's absolutely correct. They are civil infractions.
I was reading from a different case, but the case that I'm citing from states that no license necessary to drive an automobile on public highways, streets, no license is necessary. The word operator should not include any person who solely transport his own property and who transport no persons or property for hire.
Where's that citation from?
Okay, I just appeal it, and that way I can make sure all citations are.
It's fine. I mean, the idea is I can't look up what you're telling me, right? Without a proper citation. So you can read, I mean, for all I know, and I don't mean this, I'm using a farcical example. For all I know, you're quoting the municipal court in Honolulu, Hawaii, which has no jurisdiction over.
This sovereign citizen was not like the others. He remained composed and even wished the magistrate a good day, which is unusual for these people. He probably only intended to test the sovereign citizen argument, but he backed off when he saw it wasn't working. Regarding the $235 in fines for having no insurance and expired tags, they are completely legitimate. The purpose of those fines is to ensure road safety and hold individuals accountable. There are consequences for breaking the rules. What are your thoughts? Should the magistrate have been more forceful, or did he handle it well? Please share your thoughts in the comments section and remember to like and subscribe for more updates. Thank you for viewing.